This video is to show you how to replace your AC compressor and AC dryer. I have an '88 Jeep Cherokee 4-cylinder. Before you begin, of course, you want to make sure the system is depressurized. Last time I had brought this in to get it checked, they did a recharge and basically Freon was blowing out the side, so I know that the system is depressurized. But if yours isn't, take it to a shop and have them do it for you. Don't let that Freon out into the atmosphere just to save a few bucks. Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to remove your drive belt, and to do this you have to loosen up this bolt, that bolt, this bolt, and that bolt down there, if you can see it, to loosen up our power steering pump and get the belt off. Okay, now that we've got the belt loosened, we can take it off the compressor. Another thing to know, make sure you disconnect the negative terminal on your battery cable. Almost forgot to mention that. And then we're just going to go ahead and remove the low pressure, high pressure fittings from the compressor itself. Okay, and as you can see, I have my fittings removed, and I plugged the holes just with some paper towel. I don't know if that's a good way to do it, but that's the way I'm doing it. And to get a little more access to the bolts right here that hold the compressor in, I removed the battery, and I'm going to go ahead now and do that. Okay, now that I've got my compressor removed, the next thing we have to do is remove the dryer. And to disconnect the dryer, you have to disconnect the electrical connection, this fitting here, another fitting down there, and possibly one on the bottom, but I'll see once I remove this nut here and pull the whole thing out. Okay, and as you can see, I removed the dryer, and I have all my lines wrapped up in bags with zip ties so we don't get any dust and dirt in there. Next I'll show you how to put your adapters and your wires from your old compressor and dryer onto your new ones. So as you can see, we have our old dryer and our new dryer, and to our new dryer we need to add these fittings. So I'm going to remove them, and then I'm going to put them on there. And once we do that, we can talk about filling them up with oil. Okay, so you can see I removed the fittings from the old dryer, and I put the electrical connection on the new one. And right here is where the Schrader valve will go. But first we need to add PAG 100 refrigerant oil, 2 ounces for the dryer. So I'll remove this rubber fitting, pour my oil in there, and then I'll seal it back up with this guy until I'm ready to go outside and install it in the car. And just in case you were wondering how you were going to get the oil in that small hole, one idea is I got this little like eyedropper, and I just kind of cut off one plastic end of it, and I cut off the other end so it's wider, and just placed it in the hole, and I'm using it like you would a regular funnel. So that's one way. And then here they are, completely disassembled and completely assembled with oil inside. So my new compressor came with different wiring than my old compressor, so I removed the wiring harness from the old compressor, and now I'm going to splice it into the new compressor wire, and then solder that. And I will put one of these heat shrink sleeves, they sell these at any auto parts store, over that, and shrink it with a hair dryer. Okay, and as you can see, I've got my new old wires attached, and I'm ready to install my compressor and dryer into the car. Okay, so we've got the new dryer in place, and now we just have to hook up the fittings, and we're all set. Okay, last step is to add the hoses back onto the compressor. We're going to use these gaskets, and you want to put a little bit of refrigerant oil on each before you put it on, and screw them down tightly.
Okay, so now everything is installed, as you can see, and tightened down. We've got our dry belt back in place. Here's a little tip for a lot of people that might be wondering how to tell if your dry belt is tight enough. Kind of an old rule of thumb. If you can twist your dry belt and it goes to exactly 90 degrees, then it is right. If you can't twist it at 90 degrees, it's too tight, loosen it. And if you can twist it more than 90 degrees, it's too loose. So then you need to tighten it. But if there's any other questions or things I haven't covered in this video, please leave them in the comments below, and good luck with your project.